Hi everyone, this video is part 4 of the 3A series on development for AP Psychology students. This particular video focuses on language development. Since this video is about language development, let's start by defining language. Language is communication. It's our shared way of expressing our thoughts and our ideas. Language can be spoken with our mouths, it can be written with pencil and paper, and it can be signed with our hands. Language is more than just sounds and symbols and gestures. It's actually a complex system with rules. And our ability to use language is remarkable because we can pull from thousands of words in our memories and then follow a complex set of rules to express our ideas quickly and accurately. And in this video, I will break down the different components of language and how we have acquired language. Speech and language are made up of several components that work together to make meaning. The College Board wants students to be familiar with these components of speech and language: phonemes, morphemes, semantics, syntax, and grammar. Phonemes are the smallest unit of sound in language. Now I have the word chat on the screen. Chat has 3 phonemes. It does have 4 letters, but it can only be broken down into 3 sounds: ch, a, t. Now, to remember what a phoneme is, remember the word phone, and phone means sound. So phonemes are the smallest unit of sound in language. Sometimes I find that this is difficult for students because students know that every letter carries its own sound, but in the English language, some of our words have letters that work together and they can't be broken apart. So chat is a great example of a word that does not have the same amount of phonemes as it has letters in the word. There are also things called morphemes. Morphemes are the smallest unit of meaning in language. This can be one single word or even a part of a word, like a prefix or a suffix. Morph means to change its meaning, so maybe that will help you think about morpheme, or you can think of the M and meaning in language. Now, the word readers has multiple morphemes or multiple units of meaning within a single word. It has the word read, it has er or and if you add to the end of a word, it means that it's someone who does this action. So we have someone who reads, and then we have an s, which implies that there are multiple readers, not just one. So this particular word has multiple units of meaning within one single word. Some words just have one unit of meaning or one morpheme, but some, if they have prefixes or suffixes, have multiple elements of meaning within that one word. Semantics. Semantics refers to the meaning of words and sentences. So what does the word itself mean? So if you think of like semantics, it sounds like sense, like what does this doesn't make sense, or this does make sense. So here's a great example of the semantics of a word. The word bank could have multiple semantics. Bank could mean a riverbank, or it could mean a financial institution. Depending on the context, its semantics or its meaning could be different. Then you need to be familiar with syntax. Syntax is the rules for arranging words into sentences. If you think of syntax as sentence structure, that might help you think about the arrangement of the words in the sentence. So my example on the screen is the dog chased the cat. This follows the correct syntax or arrangement in English. This is the appropriate way to order the words. Now, it would not be appropriate, or it would be incorrect to say chased the dog, cat the. This would be the wrong ordering or the wrong syntax of the words. Finally, there's grammar, and grammar is the system of rules that governs how we use our language. So grammar is a big, broad system of rules that includes all kinds of things like syntax or different tenses, whether it's past or present, or punctuation. Grammar includes our large system of rules. How to remember grammar: if you think of grammar like glue, and this is what holds all of our sentences and language together. So one example of grammar would be, you could say he runs, and you're referring to someone who's running, and that has appropriate grammar. But if you were to say he run, He run doesn't have appropriate grammar. It's not using the right structure or tense. And so these components, from phonemes to morphemes to semantics, syntax, and grammar, work together to govern our language and help us create our sounds into sentences. So, you also need to be familiar with how children develop language. Language follows a predictable pattern in development and it moves from simple sounds to full, meaningful communication. You need to be familiar with the steps on the screen, and I'll explain them to you. The first stage in speech and language development is cooing, and cooing happens around 6 to 8 weeks. And this is where babies start to make oohs and ahs. They make sounds that are vowel like sounds. And this is their first step in experimenting with vocalization. The next step is babbling. And babbling starts at about 4 months of age. Babies start to produce a repetitive consonant and vowel pairing like ba, 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 or da, da, da. This includes sounds from many different languages. So it's not necessarily that a child is using words, but they're just creating the pairing of a closing sound with an opening sound. So it's not necessarily that they're creating words, but just sounds. By about 10 months, they're going to start narrowing these sounds into something that sounds more familiar to their home language. But at first, it's just going to be the closing and opening of sounds with their mouth. So they might make sounds like ma, 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 or ba, ba, ba in the babbling stage. The one word stage is going to happen at about 12 months of age, about 1 year old. And this is when babies use single words to convey an idea. So they might say something like dog, dog, or they might say something like mom, mom. And they're using that single word to convey meaning. Next is telegraphic speech. And telegraphic speech is going to happen around 2 years of age. This is when toddlers start to string together 2 to 3 words, focusing on key words like nouns and verbs. It's going to resemble like a telegram, very short phrases. So they might omit some other elements of sentence structure, but it's going to have meaning. They might say, go walk, mommy, go walk, or want milk. And so they're stringing together words. They're still missing a few, but they're creating this telegraphic speech. This is going to be followed by overgeneralization. And this is when children are adding more to their language. What overgeneralization happens is when they misuse grammatical rules or they apply them in the wrong way. So it shows that they're understanding grammar, but they're either applying them too broadly or applying them incorrectly. So it shows that they're understanding grammar, but they're making errors. So overgeneralization might be something like, daddy goed to the store instead of daddy went to the store. So the child is understanding the past tense of going somewhere, but they're using it incorrectly. Daddy goed to the store instead of daddy went. So these stages highlight the journey of making sounds into meaningful language, and children pick up on this so quickly. So this brings us to the end of today's video. Let's do a few short questions for review. Remember, I'll read the question aloud and you'll need to pause to determine the answer. Question number 1 says, 18-month-old Rebecca is in the telegraphic speech phase. Which of the following best represents something she might say? Question number 2 says, the word cat has how many phonemes? This concludes today's video lesson on language development. Be sure to check your answers to the review questions on the left-hand side of the screen and work through those key focus questions, and make sure you can define our vocabulary concepts before closing today's video.